So our struct here is taking shape. We got two methods and this constructor function. And therefore, we might want to put all this struct-related logic into a separated file and maybe also package. If we want to put it into a separate package, simply depends on our application and how we plan on using this struct. If we maybe need it in different parts of the application, putting it into a separate package might make sense. Otherwise, a separate file might be enough. But here I will go for a separate package because there also are some important things you should know about structs when they do live in their own packages. And therefore here, in this project, I'll add a user folder, and in there a user.go file, and I'll name my package user. And now we can go back to the structs.go file and grab that user struct and the methods and the constructor function and cut all that code here and move that into user.go, like this. Now we must make sure that we import time and the FMT package here. So we should import FMT and time like this. And we also must import the errors package. So that should also be added here, like this. Now with that, this code here lives in its own package. And in order to use it in the structs.go file, which is part of the main package, we therefore have to import our user package. We can also get rid of the errors and time packages here because we're no longer using them. Now to import our own package, as you learned, you have to use your module path, in my case here example com structs, and add this here. And then here it's the user package I want to import. With that, in our code, we should be able to access the user package and then use the dot notation to access the things it exports. And at the moment, there is nothing that would be exported because, as you learned earlier in the course, only things, types, variables, constants, functions that start with an uppercase character are made available outside of that package. So in order to make the user struct available, for example, it would have to start with an uppercase U. With that, back in structs.go, we could access user.user. And we could now create a user struct here, or in this case, a pointer to a user struct. And I will soon use the constructor function again, but for the moment, I want to start with the user struct. So we can create a new user struct value and then get the address of that value by using user like this. But you'll now notice that when you try to assign values here, for example, if you try to set the first name field to this struct, this doesn't really work. If I set this to max here, like this, I'm getting an error. Now I'm getting a bunch of errors. One problem is that I'm setting up two variables here, and we can get rid of the error for the moment. But the other problem is that I'm trying to access and set the unknown field first name. And why is first name unknown? It is part of the struct after all. Well, because this uppercase starting character rule for exporting something does actually not just apply to the struct type overall, but instead also to all the fields in a struct. You can export a struct and still not export all the fields in that struct, if there, for example, are certain fields that should not be accessible from outside this package. If the first name field, for example, should be accessible, you have to start with the uppercase character there as well. So with this code here, for example, first name would be accessible from outside this package, the other fields would not. Therefore, now in structs.go, I can set first name with an uppercase F. And you see I'm now not getting any errors anymore. Here I'm getting an error because the type, of course, now can be found in the user package. So it's user.user. But with that, we're accessing and creating a struct that is defined in the user.go file and that is then exported by that file.